All right, guys. The recording as well started. So let's start. Okay. Yesterday we've discussed about what are the different types of performance test tools and what would actually be tested and all that we've discussed. And we've also started our discussion on what are the different types of performance tests. Okay. So somebody wants to give me an understanding of what you were able to understand regarding this particular load testing. Yes, guys.
Checking the application while applying the expectation load.
Yeah, testing the application when you are applying the expected load on the system, that is called as
Load
load
testing.
testing. Okay. And what are the main components that you would actually try to check while we are doing this particular load testing?
Response time.
Response time, resource usage.
Response times and resource usages. Those are the some of the main important things. We'll try and understand more about this. Okay, those are the high level things. Okay, but we'll try and understand more about that particular load testing, what exactly we would do and how we would actually try to do that particular thing. What are the different things that we would actually capture while doing the load testing. We would actually try to work on that. Okay, now after the load testing, I've actually given stress testing, but we'll put stress testing a little bit aside for now. We'll come back to this today only, but we'll come back to this. Okay. Now we'll talk about the scalability testing. What is scalability testing? Yes, guys. And for how much time would we do this particular load testing, guys?
2
1 to 2 hours.
hours.
1 to 2 hours, right? So with the expected user load or with the expected transactions load, we would actually test this particular application for 1 or 2 hours. That is known as load testing. Okay. Now, what is scalability testing? Yes, guys.
When there's an increase in the number of users, how do the application we test?
Nearly there, but can you rephrase that so that we get a better meaning?
Yeah,
Once
scalability,
the
increasing or decreasing the users.
Increasing or decreasing of the users, that's right.
Handle increased workloads or users loads.
Exactly, handle increased workloads or user load. But why do we do this? We are optimistic beings, that's why, right? So what we would do, what we would expect, like for example, I open a business, right? I try to open a business and whether it is online, whether it is I open a shop or whatever. What would I want? I would want my business to grow, right? In the first year, if I'm able to sell, if I'm able to have a revenue of 100,000, in the next few years, I would want to have a revenue of 200,000, 300,000, right? I would want to increase my business, isn't it? Now, how would you be able to increase your business?
more
Yes,
number
guys?
of users using it.
More number of customers accessing your application, isn't it? So when there are more number of customers accessing your application, what would happen? There is more load on the servers, right? There is more load on the servers. So when there is more load on the servers, we already discussed, right? When there is more load on the servers might actually be able to handle it or not. We don't know. So we would have to understand what is the load, that you are expecting after certain amount of time. Let's say, usually the scalability testing, they would actually do it for 3 to 5 years. Okay, so 3 years down the line, what is my expected user load or what is my expected transactions load? Okay, I would say, okay, I would do so many promotions. I would, I would have such a good reputation with all my, customers, and the customers would grow twofold. Today I have, 100 customers. Tomorrow, maybe 1 year down the line, I would have 200 customers, right? So that is what is my expectation. Okay, so what I would do is 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, what is the kind of expected user load that I would have? I would actually try to find that, and I would actually try to test our application with this particular user load or the transactions load, and that is called as scalability testing. Okay. Yes, guys.
Yes, okay.
Now, why do I say only 3 years or 5 years? Why am I not saying something like 10 years or 15 years? Somebody, guys?
It's minimum time to get the customers. Increase the decrease.
No.
For the demand,
No, why can't I, test it? Okay, 5 years down the line, I'm having, 200 customers. Now, 10 years down the line, I would have, 400 customers. Why don't I test for 400 customers? Why am I stopping at 200 customers? Yes, guys. So, guys, if you look at any kind of life cycle of an application, usually you would see that maximum in a year or two, you would actually see that the application, there would be so many enhancements to the application. Okay, even if you are actually not improving the application for a few months because of some slump or some anything, maximum in a year or two, you would have so many enhancements to the application that whatever the performance test that you have done would be invalid, because you have changed so much code that whatever the performance test you have done, that is not valid at all. Get my point?
Yes,
Yes,
sure.
guys. Okay. Can you think of any application, whether you call it banking, whether you call it retail, Amazon, Flipkart, or whatever the kind of application that you are thinking about? Do you see the same kind of application, whatever that you have seen a year back? There would have
No.
been so many enhancements, right? There would have been new features that would have been added, or the look and feel of the application would have changed, isn't it? Yes, guys.
Yes, sir.
The longest that I have seen an application to be continuously stable is Gmail. Okay, for a very long time, Gmail has actually been very stable. The UI has been very constant, and everything was constant. But then nowadays Gmail is also changing. Every day the Gmail, there would be a new enhancements that I see in the Gmail as well, right? Isn't it, guys?
Yes, sir.
So there is no point in testing an application more than 5 years. 5 years, even 5 years is too much. Okay, but we would actually take a little conservative approach. We will say that, okay, for 5 years we are not actually improving any application. Our user base is growing steadily, and we would actually try to test this particular application, and we would find out if that particular application is able to sustain a load of 5 years down the line, whatever the expected user load that we have, whether this particular application is able to sustain that load or not. We would actually try to find out, and that is what is called as scalability testing. Okay, clear about it, guys? Yes, guys.
Yes, sir.
Okay, can somebody put it in their own words and tell me what is scalability testing? Yes, guys. Should I call you out? Okay, Mangesh.
Yes, at what extent we can increase the user in our application?
No. not to what extent we can increase the users. That's a different type of testing, guys. We know that this is the number of users that you are going to expect after certain amount of time, say 5 years, 3 years, 5 years, or whatever. After a certain amount of time, this is my expected user load, peak user load, and you are going to test the application for ensuring that the application works within SLS for that particular user load. Okay, and the application has to work well. That is the expectation out of the scalability testing. Okay,
Okay.
can you repeat that? Yes, Mangesh. Mangesh?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you please repeat that?
Means scalability testing.
Yep. Known as the application would conform to SLS. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Question.
Yes.
Guys, if it is not clear, please ask me questions. Okay. Sweta,
Yes, sir.
would you want to tell what scalability testing is?
Yeah, testing an application with the expected load after particular certain time.
After a certain time. Okay.
Certain time. Yeah.
Yeah. So that is known as scalability testing. All right.
Got it.
All right, guys. Now, this is the scalability testing. Now, guys, what is capacity testing? What is?
Shyam.
Yeah.
Scalability testing we have to do whenever there is an update for every few months for an application.
When there is an update to the application, what if there is a significant update, okay, the application has been modified, the code base has been modified. In that case, you would have to see whether your performance test, whatever that you have done previously, whether it is still valid or not. If it is not valid, then what would happen? You would actually have to repeat the performance test again completely. And what do I mean by repeat the performance test? You would have to repeat the load testing, scalability testing, and soak testing again completely. Okay, what are the remaining types of testing we would actually talk about? We would see whether they have to be repeated, and why only these 3 types of testing, and whether what would happen if one of these types of testing fails. We will talk about all that.
Okay, sure.
Okay, any other questions, guys? Okay, so what is capacity testing? Yes, guys. Somebody actually already told the definition of this. That is the reason why I started with this capacity testing. So what is capacity testing? We are trying to find what is the total capacity of this particular application. Maximum load. Load could be users or transactions. Okay, that this application could sustain without breaking the SLS. Okay, what is the maximum user load this application could sustain without breaking the SLS? So you would keep increasing the user load until user load or the transactions load until you see that the application is not breaking the SLS. Why you are not breaking the SLS? Why didn't I say that the application would crash? Guys, you don't need to test the application until it crashes. Why? Because see, what is the whole reason why we are doing the performance testing? Go back to the basics. What is the whole reason why we are doing the performance testing? We are trying to understand whether this particular user load transactions, users or transaction load, when you are actually trying to put this particular kind of load on this particular application, whether this particular application is able to conform to the SLS or not, right? If it is not able to conform to the SLS, what would happen? See, if the if you try to open an Amazon application or Flipkart application and it takes say 1 minute to open, then what would you do? Yes, guys, you would shift on to some other kind of e-commerce application, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Right. So you the application need not crash for the users to go away. If the application is actually taking too much time, that's enough for the users to actually walk away from the application. Okay, so what we are trying to do is, as part of the capacity testing, we are trying to find what is the maximum user load that the application would be able to handle without breaking the SLS. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Yes.
So you'd keep increasing the load, and when I say load, guys, always remember it could be either users or it could be transactions. Okay, you would keep increasing the load and you would actually try to find at what point this particular application would start breaking. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Yes.
And when I say application is starts breaking, I would mean only the SLAs are broken. I don't care whether when the application would completely break. Okay, I don't even want to know the point, because nobody would by the time it comes to that particular point, all my users are gone. There will not be any users on the application. Okay.
Okay.
So this is what is the capacity testing. Okay. Any questions, guys? Yes, guys.
Yes, Shyam. For that every particular application, it has some maximum users or transactions limit, right?
Not really. Why should we have the limit? For example, you take Gmail. Okay. Would the Gmail restrict you if there is, say, some 1 billion new customers that are getting added in the next 1 year? Yes, of course they would keep a track of how many users are getting added, and they would automatically keep increasing the capacity. And they would also keep a track of if this user load is an actual user load or if somebody is actually trying to hack the application. Okay, all that is part of security testing. All that is whether there's an actual user load, whether somebody is actually trying to hack the application, whether there is a denial of service attack. All that is part of security testing. But then let's say there is a real increase in the number of users. Then would the Gmail say, hey, you know what? Please don't come. My application is full. Please don't come. Would they say that?
No.
No, they would keep increasing their capacity in order to ensure that their all these users are welcome, isn't it?
Yes.
So
We can't hear your voice.
is everybody facing this problem, guys? Can you guys hear me?
We
Yes,
can't
sir.
hear
Yes.
you.
We can't hear you.
Is it okay now?
Now
Yeah,
it is
it's
better.
okay now.
Yeah,
Okay.
now it's fine.
All right, guys. Yeah. Yeah. So in an ideal case scenario, what you would do, you would actually welcome the increase in the business. You would never say, okay, you know what, I don't want more business. Would anybody say that, guys?
No.
You have more customers, you have more business coming in, you have more revenue coming in, you would always welcome that, right? So
Yes.
you would actually have to understand what is the reason why we do this particular capacity testing, guys. This is the reason. It's a good question, actually. This is the reason. You would have to understand, yes, the business is increasing, great, but then what is the capacity of my application? Would it be able to handle that kind of user load? Right? For example, you have this particular, if it is in US, you have this particular Black Friday and all those things. You guys would have definitely heard, right? In in India, we have this particular Diwali sale, big billion day sale, something they call it as, right? In the Amazon.
Yeah, big billion days.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what they would try to do, they would actually try to give you good offers, and they would actually try to sell more volumes, right? Now, if there are too many customers that are coming in that the application is not able to handle, then what would happen? Whoever are the loyal customers that were there, they would lose those loyal customers as well. So
Yeah.
before these guys offer those kind of big day sale, Republic Day sale, Diwali sale, before they actually try to offer those kind of offers, they would actually have to understand what is the capacity of their application, whether the application would actually be able to sustain that kind of load or not. Okay. Yes, guys, is that clear?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So once they understand, only after they understand that their application would be able to sustain this kind of load, only then they would actually go ahead and give those particular offers. Okay. So this is what is the reason why we actually do this particular capacitor testing. Okay. Any questions, guys?
Sir, I have one question, sir.
Please.
How to determine maximum capacity, in this capacity testing?
Yeah. So what we would do is we would keep increasing the user load. Very good question. I wanted somebody to ask that. Great. Okay. So what we would do is
Continuously keeping up to increase the users of transaction.
not continuously. See,
Okay.
let's say this is our see, and guys, what we would do is we would actually try to do this particular things in a proper sequence. Okay. First, we would do load testing. Then we would do endurance testing. Then we would do scalability testing. And then we would do capacity testing. Okay. So we know that our application would actually be able to sustain this particular amount of load, whatever the load that we are talking about. When in the first year the application has been released to the production, whatever is the kind of user load that the application would get, we know that our application would actually be able to sustain that particular load. Okay. See, if the load testing itself has failed, then is there a reason why you do the scalability testing? The application is not able to sustain 100 users, guys. Why do you want to test it with 200 users? Right. So the load testing has to pass in order to do the scalability testing. Okay. So the scalability testing has to pass in order to do the capacity testing. Right. So we are actually trying to find what is the kind of load that this particular application would be able to sustain. We have actually tested that particular application, and we would actually try to increase the load until that. Okay, and once we know once we attain that particular load, what we would do is we would actually try to maintain that particular load for certain amount of time, and we would see the application is able to sustain or not. Okay, double check. Okay, then we would increase the load. Okay, this is time and this is load. All right. When I say load, again guys, I'm repeating myself. When I say load, it is always, it could be users or transactions. Okay, it could be either of those. All right, so this is the load. Now you are increasing the number of users or transactions until the load until the point wherein you have tested the load testing. You maintain it for certain amount of time. Now you are actually increasing it for scalability testing point. You are again maintaining it for some more time, double checking. Okay, and then you actually maintain that particular load for certain amount of time, and then guys, in small bursts, very small bursts, you keep increasing the number of users, and you would actually try to maintain it for some more time. You would actually check whether this particular application is able to sustain that particular load, whether it is able to maintain that particular SLAs or not, and you would slowly keep increasing the user load until it actually starts breaking the SLS. Okay, this would take a lot of time, guys. This might actually take a lot of time. Okay, clear about it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sure.
Okay, so this is how you would actually do the capacity testing. Okay, any questions, guys?
Yes, I have.
Uh-huh.
If the SLS, for example, SLS, in SLS, there is a 10,000 user requirement is there, and we have tested 10,000. After that, we will stop the capacity testing then.
I'm sorry, I did not completely get the question. We increase the users until 10,000. After that,
We will stop the capacity testing.
oh, you mean to say, one moment, guys. Guys, can I just take a small pause? I'm getting a call.
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. Yeah. Yeah, sorry. I was in the middle of a question, right? You have reached until 10,000 users, and at 10,000 users, you're actually seeing that the application is starting breaking the SLS. Then would you stop the capacity testing? Is that what your question is?
Yes.
Yeah, that's we would actually try to check whether the application is able to sustain the 10,000 users load, and then once we have this particular pattern, once we know that 10,000 users is where this particular application would be able to sustain the load, then what we would do is we would do another test, another load test with 10,000 users. We would ensure that it is actually able to sustain that particular load. And then that is when we would declare, okay, this is what is the capacity of the application. Okay? Clear about it, guys? Yes, guys. Any questions?
No, sir.
Shyam?
Yeah.
If the capacity testing is meeting the SLA, then only again we'll go for load test with like a high number of users.
Yes, that's right. I would not call that as a load test exactly. I would, I would call that as another performance test.
Okay.
With the maximum capacity, because load test is, we have clearly defined, right? We are actually testing the application for expected user load.
Okay.
Of the present capacity, not of the or the complete capacity of the application. Okay. Clear, guys?
Yes. Sir.
Yeah. So this is the capacity testing. Okay. Now let's actually talk about soak testing or endurance testing. What is this particular soak testing or endurance testing? Yes, guys. Any guess?
Testing the application for a long duration of time.
Very good. Endurance. That should give you a hint. Or soak. What do you mean by soak? What do you mean by soak? You're actually slowly, waiting. This is also for a long duration of time, you're actually waiting. That is a soak, right? So testing the application for a long duration of time, this is what is soak testing or endurance testing. And why do we do this, guys? Why do we do this? What is the normal duration of a load test?
1 hour.
1 to 2 hours.
1 or 2 hours, right? Now, would I say, if I own the Amazon application, would Jeff Bezos say, hey, you know what? I've tested my application for only 1 hour. So the application would be available in the production for only 1 hour. Would they say that?
No.
No, right? The application has to be available 24/7. 24 hours every day, it has to be available, isn't it? So in that case, if the application has to be available for 24/7, after 1 or 2 hours of whatever the load test duration, if you are forcing this particular application to actually keep working for longer duration of time, would it be able to handle or not? Would there be any problems that would come up or not? We don't know, right? We really don't know, isn't it?
Yes.
So what we are going to do is, we are actually trying to test this particular application for longer duration of time, and we will ensure that the application is still conforming to the SLS. Okay, that is what is called as soak testing or endurance testing. Okay, and that is usually the soak testing or endurance testing that would happen for more than 4 hours. Usually it would be there for at least 8 hours. Okay. Yes, guys. Usually it will be there for at least 8 hours. Okay. So sometimes this particular soak testing or endurance testing, it could actually go until 24 hours, 48 hours. I've been part of soak testing which ran for 72 hours. Okay. Now, what is the main objective of soak testing? Yes, guys. What is the main objective of soak testing? Can somebody tell me?
Yeah, application able to handle or to withstand long duration.
Long duration. Great. Now, one of the main important interview questions is, when you say that this application has to sustain for long duration of time, another answer that they are expecting in the interviews is, the soak testing is mainly done in order to check whether there are any memory leaks in the application. Okay. If there are any memory leaks in the application, in order to test that, we are trying to do the soak testing. Now, what is a memory leak? That we would discuss at the end of this course, nearly at the end of this course. Okay. Yes, guys.
Okay.
Obviously, in the interview, if they ask what is soak testing, I mean, what is the main objective of soak testing, and you say that you know what, we do this particular soak testing for a longer duration of time in order to check whether the application would be able to sustain for longer durations, and we would also try to check if there are any memory leaks in the application. The obvious next question is, what is memory leak, isn't it? So this particular memory leak, we would want to discuss it nearly at the end of this course. Why at the end of this course? Because there are a lot of concepts that you would have to understand before we would actually be able to understand what is a memory leak. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay, so that is what is known as soak testing or endurance testing. Any questions until now? Okay.
Is soak testing done after every type of testing? Like to check the load again for that particular time or long time duration?
Not really. Usually, the soak testing is done after the load testing is done. The soak test would be done, and after that we would go for scalability test, guys. In any kind of for any kind of application, the compulsory tests, you cannot skip these tests, is load testing and soak testing. Now they have some budget, they would also go for scalability testing. These are the three types of testing usually any kind of application would compulsorily do. Okay. Usually, after that, whatever the other types of performance tests, guys, and whatever that I have listed over here, these are only the main types of performance tests. There are so many other kinds of performance tests. Okay, we can actually get the definitions out of the Google. If we understand the basic concepts of what this particular types of test means, the other types of tests we can very easily understand. Okay, but then these are the important things that you would definitely do: the load testing, soak testing, and scalability testing. These are the tests that we would definitely do. Okay, now to answer your question, do we do the soak testing or endurance testing after each type of testing? Like, you do the load testing, you do the soak testing, you do the scalability test. Again, at that particular load, you would again do the soak testing. Not really. Why? Why not? Usually, guys, as I mentioned before, usually what would happen? After certain amount of time, like you maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line, your application would be completely revamped, completely changed. There would be so many new features that would be added to the application that your application is your code base is whatever the performance testing that you would do that you have done, that is not valid anymore. You would have to do a fresh performance test, right?
Okay.
So the scalability test, the capacity test, all this you are actually doing only for a safety side. Okay, so usually we won't do the endurance testing at that kind of loads. Okay, but then guys, as I said, it is usually, it is not there is no compulsion. It is all dependent on your project requirements. It is all dependent on your project requirements. For example, you are testing this particular big $1 billion days sale kind of thing. How many days that would last for? 2 days or 3 days, right?
Yes.
Now, if my application has to sustain, whether my application would be able to sustain that particular 2 days or 3 days load, if I have to test, then what would do? I might actually go for soak testing, right? I don't want the application to crash in between, isn't it? Maybe the application sustains for 2 or 3 hours, and after that the application crashes. What would happen? It would be a big PR issue, isn't it? So what I would do, I might actually go for soak testing or endurance testing at that in that kind of scenario. Okay, so it is purely dependent upon the business requirement. Okay, but then usually in the usual case scenario, the let's say I'm testing ICICI Bank application. Nobody would suddenly come in and start opening accounts or start doing things in the ICICI Bank, right? Unless somebody actually starts telling you that ICICI Bank is going bust, so transfer all your money from the ICICI Bank. Only when somebody says that, all the customers of ICICI Bank would try to log in and would try to transfer all their amounts from their bank to the another banks, isn't it?
Yeah.
That usually would not be the scenario. We would actually see that the load is constant, right? So what we would do is, for those kind of applications, there is no point of doing the soak testing at every point of load. We can actually do that just for the load testing, and after that, it's okay. Clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. So that is a soak testing or endurance testing. Now, what is stress testing? What is stress testing? Now, guys, stress testing, very frankly, does not have a very proper definition. Okay, you are basically stressing out the application. How to stress the application? That depends upon your requirements. Okay, different customers would have different requirements of stressing the application. Okay, the basic reason why we do this particular stress testing is in order to ensure that your application might be stressed out. You are stressing the application. That is a basic goal of this. You are stressing the application, but then the application should not completely crash. Okay, that is all that you are actually trying to achieve in this. You don't care if the SLAs are broken, or you might want to see what is the kind of point at which the SLAs are broken, and what is the point at which the the application completely breaks. Okay, so you don't have a particular scenario wherein this is what exactly is the stress test. Maybe your users are increasing a lot. Maybe your transaction load is increasing a lot. Maybe you have a denial of service attack. What is a denial of service attack is? Maybe I'm deviating a little bit from the actual topic, but what is a denial of service attack? Yes, guys? That actually comes under security testing. So what is a denial of service attack? There is so much load coming onto your application. Okay, so many users coming onto your application, so many transactions that are coming onto your application, that the basic concept of this attack is load the system so much that the actual users of the application would not be able to get the response. Okay. Yes, guys.
Yes.
So that is what is known as denial of service attack. So what would happen in case of denial of service attack? Okay, so those kind of scenarios are we usually have multiple servers handling this particular user loads, right? Usually what would happen, there might not be a scenario wherein one server would actually be able to handle all the load, isn't it? Let's say, how many people would be accessing Amazon now? Millions of people, isn't it? There would be millions of people right in India who might actually be accessing Amazon.com website right at this moment, isn't it? Now, would Amazon.com website would it actually be able to handle all this million users with just one server? Might
No,
not
there will be multiple
servers, isn't it? Now let's just say that no, some of the servers, because of some issue, maybe some power outage, maybe something something happened, or some manual user, some human being has actually did some mistake, and some of the servers in all this particular out of all the 100 servers that the Amazon has, some 30 servers went down. Okay, now the Amazon website is running only with 70 servers. Would it be able to handle the load? I don't know. That is what is the stress testing. Okay, you are actually trying to stress out the application, and you are actually trying to find how the application is behaving. In these kind of extreme scenarios, guys, you don't care whether your SLAs are broken. All you care is your application should not break. Okay, and whether you are in how much time you are actually able to get back to normal. Okay, you simulate a scenario wherein there is this denial of service attack. You simulate a scenario wherein some of your servers are broken. Within how much time you are actually able to get the you are able to handle this particular denial of service attack. You are able to stop the hackers from doing that. In how much time you are you simulated one data center to go down. In how much time you have the other data center to come up. Okay, all these things you are actually testing, and all those kinds of testing would actually come under stress testing. Okay, is that clear, guys? Yes, guys. Guys, am I confusing you?
No, understood.
Everyone.
Shyam, can you repeat again? Like it is a little bit confused.
Yeah. See, it is actually very simple. In the stress testing, what you are trying to do is you are actually trying to stress the application. How? That depends on the requirements of the client. The application, sorry. Is stressed. Example, too much increase in the user load or transaction load, or failure of a data center, etc. Guys, these are just a few examples that I have given. This is not the exact scenario. Okay, failure of a data center, etc. Try to find out the behavior of the application. Okay, the main goal is not whether the application is able to conform to the SLS or not. That is not the main goal. Okay, the main goal is in order to find out what is the behavior of the application.
How it is behaving when it is stressed out.
That's it. Okay,
Okay.
clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Guys, one of the more another important stuff that you are actually trying to find when you are actually doing all these kinds of testing is not only that your response times and your SLAs and all this. One more important thing that you are actually trying to find is failures. Okay, in an ideal case scenario, what should happen? There should be zero failures, absolutely no failure from the application, right? But would that be possible?
Not always.
Not always, right? It might not be really, you might not really face a scenario wherein you have 0 failures, isn't it? So you should be able to get near to 0, closer to 0. Your SLAs, when you talk about the SLAs, the clients not only give the SLAs in the response times, you would also get the SLAs based upon the number of failures. Okay. Usually it will be given in the percentage wise. Okay. My number of failures while we are doing this particular performance test should be less than, say, 1%. Some of the stricter clients, they would actually give 0.5%. Okay. There should be very, very less failures. Okay. Clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. So guys, these are the important types of performance tests that we would have. Okay. There are a lot of other types of performance testing, guys. Depending upon the requirement of the application, we might actually do more types of performance tests. Okay. But for the interview, you have to know what is the definition of these 3. Okay. And while we are actually, and guys, again, any types of performance tests, what you are doing, whatever the kind of performance test that you are talking about, what you are basically doing, you are increasing the number of users, you are maintaining it for a certain point of time, and you are decreasing it. That is all that you are doing, right? There is no difference in any other types of performance test. How much you increase the number of users, how you increase the number of users, for how much time you are actually staying there, and while you are actually doing this, what is the kind of behavior that you are expecting out of the backend infrastructure. That is all we are is the difference that is actually being made when you are actually talking about different types of performance tests. Okay. Clear about it, guys? Yes, guys.
Yes, sure.
Yes.
Is there any confusion? Guys, please tell me if there is any confusion. Okay, let's test. I won't repeat this, guys. This is time and this is load. Okay. Say this is time, right? So I would say this is 2 hours. Okay. This particular point is 2 hours. Now, who would answer my question? Aparna. What is this kind of testing called as?
Soap testing.
This is 2 hours.
Load testing.
2 hours.
It's only 2 hours. Is it still called as soak testing?
Yes, sir.
See, what did we say for the soak testing?
Yeah.
It has to be at least 4 hours.
Load testing, sir.
Load testing. Okay. Guys, please concentrate. If you do not understand the definitions of load testing, soak testing, and scalability testing, it is very difficult. Okay. These things you would have to know by heart. Okay. So only 2 hours, it would be called as load testing. Now let's say this is 10 hours. Let's say this is 10 hours. In that case, Umashankar, what would that kind of testing be called as? Umashankar? Umashankar, are you there? Guys,
Hello. Hello. Sorry.
yes,
Am I audible?
yes, you are audible.
Can you repeat this question?
If this particular user load has been maintained for 10 hours, what is this kind of
Okay.
testing called as?
Load testing.
Is it load testing?
So
So,
it can't understand. Actually, I joined mid of class.
Yeah,
Sorry
but
for that.
guys, two things. One, you would have to join in time, guys. Sharp 9 o'clock, the session would start. Today I was actually a little late, but 99.99% I would be there by sharp 9 o'clock, and I would be pushing Pawan to actually close this session. Okay, so 9 o'clock the session starts. Yes, I have seen a few people joining at 9:45 as well. Okay, but that would not fly. Okay, you would actually have to start sharp 9 o'clock. Okay, please join by 9 o'clock, and please try to understand what are the concepts. Okay, the second thing, this is a very interactive session, guys. You would have to you should be able to open your mic, and you should be able to talk very, very fast. In fact, the scenario should be I should be stopping you from all of you from talking at once. I should be saying, hey guys, please stop. I would call out names. That is the kind of scenario that I am expecting. You guys are very, very quiet, and you are not responding to me. You have to respond. And if I call out a name, you have to immediately unmute your mic, and you would have to actually start talking. Okay. And if I find that there is somebody who is continuously not talking at all, and even when I call out, if they are not responding, then we would actually remove them from the session, because we don't know whether you're an actual user, or whether you are just trying to come in and waste our time, right? So guys, please respond, please come in time, and please try to get the maximum information. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Vijay Kurra.
Yeah, hi.
Hey, tell me, what is this kind of testing called as?
Actually, I also joined in the middle of the session. So, but
Guys, this wouldn't fly.
Shyam, I think this is endurance testing.
Yes, this is endurance testing. Endurance or soak testing.
Soak testing.
Okay, very good. That was Karthik, right?
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Okay,
No,
guys.
Actually, I'm trying to understand. I'm completely new to this topics. I mean, for testing itself, so I may be a little late.
That's okay. If you do not understand, please ask me. I would be happy to repeat it. Okay, I would be happy to repeat it. I would ensure that you completely understand. Okay, but then please don't let me go ahead without you understanding it completely. Okay.
Yeah.
So guys, this is soak testing or endurance testing.
endurance test.
Okay. What is this kind of testing known as? You have gone to a certain user load. It was working fine until certain point of time, and suddenly your user load has increased a lot.
Scalability test.
No.
Capacity.
Capacity
testing.
Spike.
Spike testing. Yes, I did not actually discuss this, but this is known as spike testing. Okay, one of the types of stress testing. Okay, which is stresses like
It is stressed out and coming down.
yes. Okay, this is a little frequently done in some of the applications. Okay, this is a little frequently done. This is known as spike testing. Okay, clear about it, guys? Like you have flash sales, right? In Amazon, you have flash sale. Just for 1 hour, you have a sale. Okay,
Right.
Take it or leave it. Within 1 hour, the sale is gone. Right. So your user load might actually increase only at that particular, at that point, only 1 hour. After that, there is no load. The load is back to normal. Right. So those kind of things you would actually try to test. That is called as spike testing. Okay. Clear about this, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
And guys, if you have actually this type of testing normally is known as
Load testing.
load testing. Perfect. But then if this particular user load or the transaction load, if this is an expected future load, then that is called as
Scalability testing.
scalability testing. Very good. Okay. Is this clear, guys?
Yes.
You have to be very, very clear on all this, guys. There are some interviewers who would actually have, either printouts or, they would actually show it on their laptop and they would actually ask you what this kind of testing is. Okay.
Okay.
Is that clear, guys? You would
Yes.
have to be very, very clear on all this, concepts. As I said, yesterday or day before, I was telling this, guys. If you do not answer the basic questions properly, after that, even if you actually answer very, very good in the scripting questions and the analysis questions and all, even if you are very, very good at that, you already lost the interviewer. Okay, the interviewer has already made a decision that they would not hire you. And the basic questions are the ones that they would ask first, right? So you have to be very clear on the basics. You would have to understand very clearly on what this is, and there might be a few trick questions. Slowly we will actually come into the trick questions as well. There might be a little trick questions, and you should be able to answer those. Okay.
Okay.
As part of our course, while the course is going on, slowly I will introduce this. I don't want to scare you off right in the beginning, but I will slowly introduce you to those trick questions, and I would say, okay, in this kind of scenario, what would be the answer? All right. Lots of trick questions that I have faced as an interviewee myself. Lots of trick questions that I have asked in the interviews, and that my friends have asked, that Pawan has asked. All these things we will actually try to introduce it over here. Right?
Right.
Clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Now we have load testing, soak testing, stress testing, spike testing, volume testing. Okay, what is volume testing? What is volume testing?
Testing the application with a large amount of data.
With large amount of data, you are actually introducing a lot of data into the application at once, and that is known as volume testing. Okay, and this is not very, very frequently done. This is done in only certain cases of scenarios wherein there's a lot of data involved. Okay, in the applications, if there is a lot of data involved, only then that is when you do this particular volume testing. Okay. There's a cross between database testing and the performance testing. All right, guys. You have all these definitions over here in the material. Okay, so any questions?
Shyam, the volume testing will be done by the will done to the database, or it will be done for the application?
That depends on the requirement of the application. Okay, sometimes you might actually want to do it directly to the database, and in most case scenarios, especially where the performance testers are involved, if it is directly done to the database, then usually the DBS would actually do that, right? Usually we would not be involved. Okay, and again, as I said, usually. Okay, there might be scenarios wherein they would actually ask our help, but then most of the times the volume testing is done, especially when the data is being you're actually trying to push all this data from the front end. Okay, from the actual application, not directly to the database.
Okay. And Shyam, can you show that reliability testing graph and the capacity testing graph, how it will be look like?
Yeah, capacity testing graph, that is the first graph that I have actually shown.
Look
But
like a
then
load test.
let me actually do that again. So this is the capacity testing graph. Okay, this is the load point. Okay, the load testing point, and this is the scalability testing point. Okay, till here you are actually increasing it very fast, but then after this, what you are trying to do, okay, not so much. You are very slowly increasing the user load, very slowly. Okay, and you are actually trying to find at what point of time the SLAs of this particular application are broken. Okay, and this is what is known as capacity testing.
Shyam, the same thing will be done by like a stress testing also, right?
No, what is stress testing?
To find the stress point of the application.
No, stress testing is, guys, again, please try to concentrate. What is stress testing? We are actually trying to find out
stress of the application.
Stress of the
How
we
it
stress out the
behaves.
application, and we
How the
just try to find out how it behaves. Okay, there is most of the times you might not even have a proper expectation for this stress testing. You would actually try to stress out the application, and you would actually try to find what is the kind of behavior. Okay, clear about this, guys?
The graph looks something like the spike testing you just showed. Right?
I'm sorry. This is the capacity testing.
No, not this one. The other one, the spike testing graph. The stress testing looks same as that.
No, spike testing is one of the types of stress testing. Yes, you are right. Okay, but that is only one of the types of, as I said, just like performance testing, there are different types of stress testing. Okay, the two examples that I have given over here is, one is suddenly the users increase or the transactions increase, and another one is
failure.
Server failure. Yes. Okay, but there can be different combinations of this. There can be different types of stress that could happen. Okay.
Yeah. So we try all the scenarios.
Not all the scenarios. When you say all, it would be exhaustive, right? There is no way that you can complete all the scenarios, but it would be dependent upon what your client requirements is.
Got it.
Okay, so when they go for stress testing, they have something on mind. They have, okay, you know what? My application is having a lot of users. Now, somebody might actually, try to do a DOS attack, denial of service attack. So, what would happen when somebody does a denial of service attack on me, right? So, the client has a proper, some understanding in mind, and they would actually try to get to that. Okay.
Yes, got it.
Any questions, guys?
So
Yes,
I have
guys?
one question. You Can you tell us the sequence of all these testing once?
I already told you, like first we would do the load testing. Okay, why would we do the load testing to start with? Because we have to understand whether this application would actually be able to sustain the load with the expected production load, with the expected production peak load. Okay, forget about 5 years, 10 years, or whatever. If I go live in this particular scenario, how many users would actually come into the application? How many transactions would be there in the application? And whether my application would actually be able to sustain that particular load or not. If I'm not able to sustain that load, there is no point in going into production, isn't it? Yes, guys. So we would do the load testing to start with. And once we do the load testing, once we know that the load testing is passed, okay, then we would actually go for soak testing or endurance testing. We would ensure that, okay, not only 1 hour, the application would actually be able to sustain for a longer duration of time. Okay. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
And then once we complete the soak testing or endurance testing, then we would go for scalability testing. Okay, we would try to ensure, okay, 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, my users are actually, I would say that my users would increase to so much. Okay, so I would actually test it with that so much load, whatever it is. Usually people would say that, according to the application, right? It's not, you cannot say usually, according to the application. Your load might actually increase 10% every year, 5% every year, whatever it is, right? Guys, in the corona time, when the corona started, Netflix, Amazon Prime, these have seen the increase in the user load like tenfold. Right, suddenly a lot of users are subscribing, isn't it?
Yes.
So we would actually have to, also try to understand what is that sudden, when there is that particular, that is the reason why we would do this particular scalability testing. Okay, 5 years down the line, what is the kind of load we would try to expect, and we would try to test that. We would know what is the behavior of the application, and suddenly something like that happens, your application is still able to sustain. Okay. Clear about it, guys? So these are the 3 types of testing that you would compulsorily do for any application. After this, it is all, based upon the requirements of that particular application. You would actually do this capacity testing, spike testing, stress testing, volume testing, depending on the requirements of the application. Okay, then you might not really have a sequence. It would be dependent on the requirements. You might not even do all this. You might even you might just do one of these or 2 of these, whatever, according to the requirements of the application. Clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Did I answer your question?
Yes.
Good. Okay, so this is the sequence: load, soak or endurance, and scalability. After that, it all depends on the requirements of the application. But these 3, you have to follow a sequence. Okay.
Okay.
What would happen when the load testing fails? Not only that, you would not do any other types of testing until you tune the application. Ideally, the application should not be open to the public or the target users, whatever, right? The application should not be released to the target users. You should tune the application in a way that the application will be able to sustain the load, and only then you would actually release it to the target users. Okay. Is that clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, if you find any issues in the soak testing or endurance testing, that means your application is not able to sustain the load for longer duration of time. Probably, most probably, the soak testing, if it fails, that means you have a memory leak. There are other issues, guys. There are a lot of other issues that could happen in the soak or endurance testing, but the most common issue that we actually see if when the soak testing or endurance testing fails is the scenario wherein you have a memory leak. So you would actually have to fix that. Okay, or whatever the issue that arises. Okay, and even when this particular soak testing or endurance testing fails, you would not release this particular application to the target users. You would first fix it and only then you would release it. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Yes.
But what would happen when a scalability test fails? What would happen when a scalability test fails? A proper business authority might actually sign off, and you might want to release this particular application to the target users. Okay, because what is scalability testing? 3 years down the line or 5 years down the line, according to your requirements, you are actually testing, isn't it?
So
That
which
load you would
from
actually
which-
get it. Sorry.
Yeah, I was trying to say the same thing.
Yeah, that load you would actually achieve only after 3 years or 5 years, not right now, isn't it? So you can release the application to the target users and you can continue working on fixing the application in order to ensure that this application works for more number of users or more load users or transactions, whatever. Okay, clear about it, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
Why do you want to release it to the target users? Guys, the more time that you're not releasing the application to the target users, you're losing the revenue, isn't it? Why are we building this application? The whole reason is in order to make money. If you are not releasing it to the general public, then what would happen? You're starting losing money, right?
Right.
All right, guys, we are already at 10:30 mark. I'm sure some of you might actually be working, so I can see that one or two guys have already dropped. So shall we stop at this point?
Okay.
Yes.
Hello?
Okay, bro.
Any questions, guys?
Hello?
Yeah.
Sir?
No.
Yeah, I can take any questions at this point, but we'll actually stop the